All right. This video is going to be a video talking about pain, like pain. The other day, before my daughter was, um, picked up and sent to the hospital for, seizures that she had, a pretty bad one. She was talking to my wife, and she was saying, I guess she was saying that because she likes to go on walks every day, even though she has some medical issues. Um, she thinks she was talking to my wife saying that if dad can push through the pain, then, you know, I think I should be able to also. So hopefully she actually watches this video. um, I guess because ever since Mia was little, um, I was just always in kind of like survival mode. Because in 2003, I was in a bad car accident. Um, Split, my head kind of open. I guess I kind of see the scar. And it used to go all the way up. A lot of it's healed over all these years. Year by year would kind of heal, but there's still a scar that, is going to go away. So that was like the day that kind of changed my life forever. And so in that accident, I split over my head. So I had a lot of neurological problems. I had back problems, leg problems, because I almost didn't make it out, and I was just a passenger, and I almost didn't make it out of that, make it to the hospital. So over the years, I've had a lot of problems. I'll go more into depth about that whole story because it's kind of a it's kind of a long story. But so I just after that, a few years after that, Mia was born. So I've never really had time to heal completely because it was just like survival mode. Okay, I gotta do this, gotta work here, gotta, try to get better or, you know, just keep pushing through, keep moving forward. That was my, when I saw it on, what is it, Meet the Robinsons, it was like, you just keep moving forward. So that was my thing. I'm just gonna keep moving forward. I, worked here, worked there, then I got into security. So I was sewing newspapers. We do newspapers for like 13, 14 years, I think, altogether. Then I got in security. That was, you know, probably the best jobs I've ever had. So I was doing security, pushing through, still having, some issues. Got sick a few times, got walking pneumonia, but it was like, hey, bills are coming in. I gotta do what I gotta do to take care of her. Especially Mia, like this little girl. She wants to do this, this, or this. So I had walking pneumonia for like 4 months. Um, the doctor's like, yeah, if it gets, I think it was like the third month, they were like, if it gets a little bit worse, we're just gonna have to drill a hole in the side of your lungs and I guess like drain it out. They're like, because it was getting to that point where my lungs were just kept filling up, filling up. And but I wanted to do good at that job. I wanted to, keep getting hours and being able to kind of, get better post and just learn as much as I can about, as much as I could about security at that time. So years just keep going by, keep going by. I start to have, more health problems, but doctors can't figure it out, can't figure out exactly what's wrong. This is like late 20s, early 30s, and progressively just keeps getting worse, worse, and worse. And I guess I was having, some bouts of depression. So lots of friends in my family, or my mom, well, actually, I think both sides, my mom and my dad, you know. So I didn't know what depression was. You know, I grew up, I was born in the 80s, 90s kid. We didn't know what depression was. We don't know therapists. We had, it's just, you better act right. You better go outside. That's all you need to do. Go outside and just be outside. You'll get over, or just get over it. So I guess it probably for a while I had depression. I think it was up until maybe 3 years ago, maybe, is when I figured out that, you know, maybe I probably was having, I was going through depression and probably had gone through depression for years. Because there's stuff I just couldn't do anymore. And I was just, getting sicker and sicker. And then recently I was able to figure out what more than likely was one of the main causes of my grandfather passing earlier than what I think he should have been, that he should have. And my father is going through, I see it was my grandfather and my father's having the same symptoms. So I kind of went off that. I was able to figure out probably what is in our genes with the help of, like Gemini and Chat GPT. But my father he wouldn't listen to me, because I'm not a doctor, but I figured it out. But so my daughter just kind of thinks, well, if dad can do it, I can do it. Like I could push through this. I'll keep doing this, this, and this, and it'll just go away. And I've tried to tell her and talk to her multiple times to tell her, I did it because I had to. I had no choice. I didn't have a family that would stand behind me, that would help me. My father wasn't going to help me. My mother couldn't help me. I was helping her a lot of times, but had, they felt like they had to take care of my half sister more since I was young. So I was kind of left alone for pretty much a whole life. Like here and there, they kind of act different when, you go places or little family functions, and it was kind of different. It's like, oh yeah, we're taking care of, we love both of them. But behind closed doors is a different story, especially when you're 80s, 90s kid. A lot of our parents were like that. So I tell Mia, like, you can't just keep pushing through. It's not gonna work like that. Your body's finally it's gonna give out, because I've told her my body has pretty much almost shut down multiple times. One time we just came back from Vegas, and Mia was young. I think Mia was, let's see, Yoshi was a baby. Yoshi was 5 or 1. So Mia was like 5 or 6, I think, or yeah, I think somewhere around there. I can't remember how old Mia was. Mia was young because we went to Vegas. And so we get back, and I've told her this story. I've tried to tell her this story. I think I've told her, and I just keep trying to pound it into her, because I'm like, we came back from Vegas. I drove, um, all the way back and forth. No one else could drive. My dad wouldn't drive. He had went with us, but he wouldn't drive. He didn't want to drive that far. He was having the same problems that like I'm having now back then. And this when Mia was young, so he's been having these problems for a long time. And so we come back, And I had to return the car the next day to Enterprise because we had rented a van. All I remember is I had went to sleep on the couch, wake up, feels like I can't breathe. My legs are like noodles. I get to the restroom. I look up in the mirror. My whole eyes, everything is blood red on both. And it's like I'm trying to like gasp and my legs are like noodles are going to sleep. So I sit on the toilet and I like my legs feel so cold and they're just like icy cold. And then like, it's like you could feel when the blood starts pumping again. And then I'm able to breathe. And I'm like, okay, like, cause I wasn't breathing that whole like minute or two. I wasn't, or maybe 3 minutes from when I got up to that point. And I guess I passed out on the toilet because my wife said I heard her, she was knocking on the door. I'm thinking it's just like a couple seconds, maybe a minute. But I guess it was longer because she had came and knocked on to see if I was okay. And, I'm like, yeah, I'm okay. Because I'm the only thinking it's like maybe a minute at most. And it was longer. So after I tell her, and so we end up going to the hospital, and the doctors are like, yeah, like you're, um, whatever was going on, it must have been your blood trying to pump it back up. Like you were lucky because, you know, most people, stuff like that happens. They don't, they don't make it to the hospital like this. So I'm like, okay, so that's just one instance. And so it's been a few times here, last like couple years, like 2, 3 years, where I've pushed myself too far, and then I'll have like a mini stroke. And so I've keep trying to tell her this, like this is what happens when you push your body too far, and I'm able to push it farther, which isn't any better. It's not like I'm like, oh yeah, like I'm so big and bad I can go this and this. I'm like telling her like, no, I had to because I was trying to do whatever I had to do for you guys. I didn't want to. So she just keeps pushing herself. And I'm like me, I am like, I had to do this since when I was in the accident, I was 18 at the time. I told her, you can just chill. You can chill, take like, rest every day, kind of, do what you have to do, take your medications, and just build yourself up little by little. And, she's, I don't know, maybe she's hard headed like me. I always say she's hard headed because of her mom, but I think it's because of me. They always say your force there. They say like your firstborn is, girl is like takes after the dad more. But maybe in that sense, yeah, the hard headedness and stuff. But actually, my second daughter, Yoshi, is more like me. She even looks, they all look like my wife, but I think she's has more of my demeanor is my second daughter, Yoshi. Me, I guess that maybe the hard headedness, but then her mom has hard headed too. So, and her mother hates being told what to do. So, I know she gets that from her because, yeah. So, that's what, so hopefully Via watches this. Via, just do what you have to do to get better. So then you won't have a lot of these problems when you get older. Cause like I said, I didn't have a choice. I was doing this stuff off of, you know, fight or flight. So it was survival. So this is just a story that, I keep telling her over and over because she doesn't want to listen. So maybe this will help her listen more. And I'm doing these videos because I I want to get a lot of my thoughts out and stories that I've had. So Mia and the rest of the kids can watch these and see them, because sometimes I forget, because memory isn't. Say I remember the stuff now in a month or two, a year. Your memory isn't a good indicator. It's not something you can really rely on all the way, because your memory will change a little bit as time goes on. So some of your memories, you will think they happened a certain way, but it may be a slight little difference, because as time goes on, it changes. So I want to get a lot of these stories out. Plus, I want to get used to being on the camera more to tell these stories. So maybe Mia and the rest of the kids can get used to, maybe telling their stories of things they went through. And Mia's getting better at it. She's doing more and more, but she's, like I said, she's so good at a lot of stuff that, you know, if she can make anything work. So that was my story today. I'll have some more stories coming up for you guys. All right. See you guys next time. Bye.